to a committee of officers. And in government, the most difficult thing to do is to agree to the committee to meet. ना डेट होती है, ना एजेंडा होता है, और अगर मिल भी गए तो मिनट्स नहीं बनते. So that this will not give us the deemed approval kind of a ease that we want. So we said nothing doing. If it is a deemed approval, it is a deemed approval to be done by the computer system. So 21 days I did not deliver the service. 22nd day 0000 hours, the computer kicks in a deemed approval certificate and sends in the inbox of the applicant. No human intervention. कमिटी छोड़ दीजिए, एक अफसर का भी कोई उसमें रोल नहीं है, सीधे कंप्यूटर करता है. And what's more, banks don't entertain them, or some other departments of government India don't entertain them. We said ki no, when it is deemed for all practical purposes, 100% validity for 100% purposes to the industry. And guess what's more, the officer who is competent to grant that clearances, who did not grant and has the deemed approval certificate has kicked in, cannot withdraw the same. So if there was an action of Pollution Control Board who was supposed to grant a certificate, did not grant the consent, it got done automatically, he is not empowered to withdraw it. It goes to the administrative secretary or one level below, HOD. It is the chairman. So if Pathankot environment engineer did not issue, you got deemed approval, it is the ACS Science and Technology or the chairman Pollution Control Board who can withdraw after giving an opportunity of being heard. So whatever we are trying to do, we are trying to make it meaningful. We are trying to make it something that is really usable. It is not only in name. And this we could do only because of continuous support and feedback of the industry and especially CII. And already 533 deemed approvals have already kicked in. We started this in this June only. So already 533, this is a system generated report. So June we started, July it got stabilized, and now 533 approvals already granted. Next, portal. Yeah, this is one high point I think because we have consolidated everything and brought in one end-to-end online portal. Whenever you download that certificate, you rank us mandatorily, you grade us mandatorily, and our rating is 4.5 out of 5. We want to take it to 5 out of 5. And almost 73,000 plus clearances have been granted from this. 90% are within the stipulated time. And for those 10% which are painful, we came up with the deemed clearances protocol, which now gets kicked in, and 533 we have already seen. I'm sure in coming times, this will help us understand each other better, trust each other more, discipline the regulatory side of the government, and ease it for the industry on their part. Decriminalization. Again, this was a thought. This came absolutely in an interaction with the industry partners. They said for even small offenses, your inspector can also, as per law, put a challan in a court of law and kind of initiate criminal proceedings. And this happened in some of the instances where it was very difficult for the industry. We got it, yes, absolutely. There may be offenses which are not intentional, most of them probably. And at least most of the industries, I would say, are very conscientious. They don't want to make any mistake, but sometimes it happens. It doesn't deserve to be a criminal action against them. So we have started on that. It's a legal process. Most of the acts are Government of India acts, like the labor laws and all that. We can't do that on our own, but we have started the process. So for a pollution control board offense, now the pollution control board guy cannot directly put in a complaint in a court of law, criminal complaint in a court of law. It goes to a committee of secretaries. It is a subcommittee of the board of pollution control board. And there are 5 administrative secretaries of all the key departments. The matter gets referred there. They see whether actually there is a need or a necessity of initiating criminal action against the industry, or is it a well-intentioned effort of the industry, but just some slippages. So this is something which is going to decriminalize or at least reduce that talwar which gets latkoed on all of us doing business in the state. Similarly for boilers. So and we are now striving to do for other labor laws and other that as well. We don't want to side with the industry which is committing an offense. Shortcuts is not something which we really believe in, and we will never stand by anybody for that matter who is on the wrong side of the law. But at the same time, we want to have that environment of trust amongst each other, and unintentional mistakes which do not warrant a criminal action should not be punished for same. The mantra is you keep doing your business. You should not be embroiled in the government processes, whether it is regulatory or whether it is punitive. Central inspection system, as I have mentioned earlier also in some interaction, now the inspection is done by a computerized system. Even the inspectors are allocated by that computerized system, and the teams go together for inspection. And already over 17,000 inspections have been handled through this route. Within 48 hours, the report has to be uploaded by the inspectors on the portal. If they fail to upload their report in 48 hours, the portal gets closed. So they have to take permission from their seniors in the headquarters and explain why they could not upload the inspection report in 48 hours. This was one of the demand of the industry that, so there's a lot of post-inspection discussion that goes on for God knows what. Once the inspection has been done, it has been done. Whatever has come out of the inspection should be reported. So now this is something which has already happened, though government had already put a moratorium on inspections during COVID, and it carried on till March 2021. I don't think it has extended after that. Otherwise, this number would have been even more. But already 17,000 have been done by this route. This is again a very, very momentous initiative, again a statutory one, Punjab Anti-Red Tape Act. And the rules are almost at the verge of being finalization. But I am sure that this is the first ever attempt in the country to call a spade a spade. The act itself says Anti-Red Tape Act, as simple as that. Nowhere else in the country has an agent, a third party, a dealer being statutorily recognized कि भैया सिस्टम में एजेंट काम करते हैं तो वो एजेंट को आप पैसा दो तो वो काम कराएंगे. This act recognizes that, and not only recognizes that but also declares them to be persona non grata by law. So now there is a law which says कि आप एजेंट के थ्रू अगर कोई भी अफसर काम करेगा आगे तो then he is liable to be punished. And who all are liable to be punished? A government employee who is directly a government employee, a contractual employee who is working for the government, even a outsourced employee who is providing any government services. So anyone who is providing or indulging into a provision of government services is covered under this act, and he cannot enter into a business dealing with an agent. We recognize somebody has a license, somebody can aid and assist, but a person can't say कि ठीक है जी मैंने इन्ने पैसे दे दियो तो मैं थोड़ा करा देना है मेरी setting ही अंदर. Setting is what we need to really come down very heavily upon. Rules are being framed. The statute which is going to provide that all the services first of all will go online, and 50% compliance reduction has to happen under the act. I know it is all very difficult. It sometimes it sounds too good to be true, but somewhere we have to make a start. We are the first state, in fact, and it is by law. It is judicial. So that's the impact. Right to Service Act, Right to Information Act for that matter. When it started, did we ever think that Right to Information Act will become a reality in this country? It did, and it changed the landscape like anything, and for good. Next. Online land allotment. Again, this was a pain point which was raised by CI and all the industry forums. कि जी पता ही नहीं लगता कि कौन कौन से प्लॉट खाली पड़े हुए हैं, किसके लिए अप्लाई करें, सानू जमा पता नहीं लग रहा. Everything GIS mapped is now on the website. You please go Ludhiana phase 7B. वहाँ पे अच्छा ये प्लॉट खाली पड़े हैं, ये ईस्ट फेसिंग है, ये इसका बैक यहाँ पे लगता है, इसकी सड़क इतनी है. You get to know कि okay these are the plots which are vacant, and you can choose to bid. Everything is online bidding. Not even a single complaint till now कि जी bidding में हमें कोई problem आई है. Absolutely clean, simple process. 20 auctions have already been held and 242 plots have been allotted. So again a seamless process. MSME Facilitation Council for payment, again this was a demand and a rightful one from the side of the industry. already constituted in all the districts. Not many states have that. Most of the states have in commissionerates or few of the districts. Punjab, all the districts have that now, except for the new one, Malerkotla, which I think shortly will be making one. Already disposed of 816 cases and processed payment of 244 crores. This is all implemented. I'm coming with facts and figures. Groundwater authority, big pain point for industry in Punjab. You demanded it, the government delivered. Already there, working, and now in the process of making a very fantastic online system. So it is going to be really easy. But at least the intent, the idea of understanding the pains of the industry is there now. It's very difficult to convince central groundwater authorities and boards. Very difficult because they look at India as a whole. Punjab has its own peculiar landscape and problems and areas and issues. So I think this is again something which has been widely welcomed by the industry. Truck unions, so no truck unions, and we are taking regular feedbacks. If there are any pain areas, sometimes we get okay, Fala truck union is now again starting to work if there are areas, and we intervene. So if there are any ways somebody is wanting to, kind of crawl back into the system, making a truck union or activating or reactivating that, please let us know. It's a continuous process. People will try to do that, okay? But the general feedback is it's not there. Once or twice, ikka dokka, and we keep. I have myself probably talked to many industries in the last 1 year. Ki kya aapka feedback hai? Generally, it has been good. Power subsidy, 5 rupees. I think that's something very important. And this is what actual delivered. 156 crore ka to ED exemption hai, jo hamari policy mein hai, already done. Almost 7,000 crore, 6760 crore ki tariff subsidy which has gone to the industry because it is not billed to them. It is billed to the government. Refunds was one issue. GST refunds की जी बहुत refunds timely नहीं होते हैं. More and more we are streamlining the system. GST, as you are seeing, rapidly they are increasing. Processing is rapidly going up, and VAT also is being processed now. IBDP policy. So many a times it is कि policy तो बन जाती है तो implement नहीं होती. Policy, CII is a member. So if we have implemented 80% of it, they also have implemented 80% of it. So, but first time, and there have been instances where the committee as officers was probably reluctant, but CII pitched in, PhD chambers pitched in, no, this is something which is admissible. We should look into it. And finally it was granted. So no, it helps. When an industry person is there, the perspective that he or she gives on the committee, they can accord dissent on that. And that is why almost 200 cases of this in this policy have already been, granted letters of eligibility, and the incentives have already started rolling into them. Just to remind, yours truly, Invest Punjab, we stand for you, we are created for you. We learn every day, we don't do business, we facilitate businesses. And we learn from all of you every day, and we will continue to do that. Just a reminder that for anything, please come to us. Wherever there is a policy issue, we act as a policy advocacy, we do. We stand by the industry in operationalization, major issues any coming. Even during the COVID, we had umpteen interactions and facilitations on the industry side, on the investment promotion side. We were working, Udyog Bhavan was working as one, all officers were together. Fiscal incentives, again, just to reiterate, I think we all know that. I don't need to explain that in this forum, but just a reminder, and I can tell you that the fiscal incentives which are being provided under this policy are not one of the best, they are the best. Not only by virtue of the quantum that is admissible and eligible, also by virtue of the way they had been structured. So GST, I will not bother you after 3 years कि जी आपने sale through state दिखा के interstate sale की थी. People are having scores and hundreds of issues in other states. कि जी 3 साल बाद भी हमारी किताबें चेक होती हैं कि जी आपको तो SGST के ऊपर छूट थी, आपने interstate sale को intrastate sale दिखा के एक trading firm को बीच में डाल के कर दिया. In our policy, that is not there. Very clear thing. If there is an employment subsidy, clean. PF के आपकी return है statutory returns. You are statutorily in any ways doing it. and we are fetching the data from there. So not only about the quantum, though I'm very sure about the quantum also in most of the sectors, but also about the way it is structured. These are some of the pictures which make us going. All this brick mortar machine and lightings and smoke, white smoke. Really, it gives the kind of strength that we get from all of you. Commissioned. This is Hero Cycles, which is commissioned. This is Swaraj Mahindra, which is commissioned. This is Grapples, German, very fast to commission, which is there. Tube Investment is commissioned. There are almost 1,500 projects. This is Air Liquide, which is under construction. There can be many such pictures, but when I talk to Ashish, when I talk to Ambrish, and when we see how their plants are growing, and I can tell you, my team takes great pride because we take pictures during construction. And the sector officer has to give a report in West Punjab that these are my key projects, these are my second rank projects. This is the stage that they are in with pictures they have to show, okay. And all these IM guys who have joined us, all ISB guys who have joined us, really we are trying our best. We may falter somewhere. To err is human, but it is unintentional. And we have all the heart and intent to improve and fill the gaps wherever they are. Join us for the summit. It's your summit. We are just coordinating. It is industry summit going by the COVID regulations. We are having the day one in virtual mode, and day two is going to be a state session. This is a new thing. So the government is going to the industry during summit. Earlier it used to be at one place, ISB. This time we are going to have a state session at Ludhiana as well. So you can join. We have given the YouTube this thing as well. So this is all. I extend a very heartfelt invite to all of you to please join and be a part of this event. This is your event. This is for all of us together and to showcase Punjab, the true potential that it has to the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think we are all energized to get into project mode. Sir, I think the state has made tremendous progress, and Invest Punjab is the brand which is probably guiding new investments, and I hope that in times to come it continues to grow. Now, without further wait, I request Mr. Tejveer Singh, Principal Secretary, Industries and Commerce, Investment Promotion, Government of Punjab, to give his special address.
Mr. Bhavdeep Sardana, Chairman, Mr. Ambrish Jain, Mr. Ashish Garg, Mr. Amit Thapar, my colleague Mr. Rajat Agarwal, CEO Invest Punjab, my other colleague Mr. Kumar Amit, who just joined us a day earlier as MD of PSIEC, my captains of industry from Punjab, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you for inviting us to be here with you as a kind of a prep-up meeting before the investment summit. Let me at the outset confess, this is my first, posting in my 27 years career in industry. So I'm a little new to this sector, but I look at it with a lot of excitement. It's a great occasion to learn and to be part of Punjab's growth story directly. Many other charges, whether they're important or less important, but you're not sometimes very directly doing something. But here we are in the business of creating wealth, and not really in a direct way, but just kind of creating the enabling conditions by which we can make life easier and better for all of you. Let me begin by saying that Rajat has already shared what all Invest Punjab has done and how the state of Punjab has been faring in the last few years. It's all in all, it's a fairly encouraging story. So it's nice to be stepping into a department when there is something pleasant to talk about and to share. But that's not enough. And what I feel, and I'm sure all of you would agree, is that Punjab has always been one of those states where there is a very strong spirit of enterprise in the people. Whether it is farmers, also people who, even farmers will be able to unravel a tractor and put it back. So there is some spirit of enterprise and this ability to innovate, to re-engineer or reverse engineer processes, implements and others. This is very, very high, and that's one of the reasons Punjab and people of Punjab have really made their mark across the world. And people from Punjab end up punching much higher than their weight. In terms of numbers, we're about 3 crores, but you can see people of Punjab have made their mark both nationally and globally. And in fact, for many people outside of India, India really is Punjab. So they understand. They look at Punjabis and that's their vision of India very often. It's a pleasant vision. From industry's perspective, I think with the enterprise that all of you possess and have demonstrated all these years, I think what you really look at from government are a few things. I was just thinking, and I just kind of jotted down a couple of things. First and foremost is a stable policy regime. I think that's very, very critical. So today you have, let's say, 5 rupees per. If tomorrow you don't, businesses do make some, if not long-term, but medium-term assumptions when they make investments. So it's very important for a government to ensure that there is a stable policy regime. Governments will come, go, those things will keep happening, but the policies, the continuity in policies must be there. And so that's one. The second is, I think, good industrial infrastructure. So I've heard it earlier also, even in the interaction with the Chief Minister, where some of the leading industrialists were present the other day, which Mr. Sardana spoke about. One of the things that came up was that the condition of focal points needs, improvement. We need to upgrade them. Some things have happened, but it's not enough. We need to do more. So more money should be, spent this year. So that's the second part of it. The third, of course, is good, I think, road, rail and air connectivity, because, products need to move. The fourth is, of course, something which Rajat spoke about, and that's some good work has happened in West Punjab, is reducing the compliance burden and improving the ease of doing business. Fifth, I would say, is availability of good quality skilled manpower. That's a very important resource, and that's one of the things which can eventually start pulling in more and more investment if you have people who can work well and produce more. And the last one to my mind, which is something which so often industry comes up, is land and land banks. So you can have a reasonably transparent way of allotment of land on demand as early as quickly as possible. So these were some of the things which I think we all need to ensure that as a department we are able to kind of live up to these 5-6 things in a reasonably good measure. Policy continuity, I think I'm happy to say that at a broad level, what was happening in the previous government, then when the present government came in power in 2017. So there has been a broad continuity in policies, and we hope this trend will continue. I'm sure the political leadership of the state across political parties is strongly of the view that the industry needs to be supported, and there has to be a sense of continuity in the policies which the industry finds relevant and welcome. One of the things which was also discussed was the other day was a sectoral focus. So some people raised the other day with the Chief Minister that we should really be looking at possibly a steel city. Similarly, let's say our incentives and even FAR norms need to be different for different nature of industries. So you may want to give something more to X sector, knowing that Punjab has a greater potential or is some sort of a stronger advantage in those sectors, or incentivize those sectors that you want to, for people to set up things. So we are cognizant of that, and I think we will try going forward to see wherever, if there is anything which needs to be refined further with your interventions and support, we would love to do that. Of course, repair of focal points was something which was raised, and let me say, because I'm sure many of you have industrial units in some of those focal points, especially Jalandhar and Ludhiana, because those are our major industrial hubs. There is some work happening, and I think there is a little more demand for additional funds, and the finance minister that day was, at least he had assured in the presence of the chief minister, that we will be happy to release more money wherever required, and I'm sure PSIEC will be taking this forward very, very soon. Let me also add a couple of interesting thoughts which came up to what Bhavdeep and some of the others said. Was this stronger partnership between academia and industry? So if you look at some of the, I'm not very well traveled in the world, but one of the countries which I have had the occasion to visit multiple times and is South Korea. And one of the things which I saw was this very beautiful cluster. It was just outside of Seoul in a place called Ansan, just maybe a kind of a suburb, half an hour, 40 minutes away, was between industry, academia and research. So the research is also being undertaken by academia for the industry. So I think, like the point that we have a clutch of very good high quality institutions in Mohali in particular today, or around Mohali, I think we need to really leverage this is in a more organized fashion. I mean, there is also this CRIC, which is a kind of a cluster of research institutions in Chandigarh and the Tri-City. But I think this really needs to be made more meaningful. Frankly, industry and even people outside of industry have a variety of problems, which I think these research institutions need to put their minds. They have very good talent of children who are working here, youngsters who need to solve these. So that's one of the thoughts. And I think, let me say, with the coming up of two new universities, Plaksha and Amity in this region, I'm sure this will get more focus. And Plaksha is incidentally a technology university. It's not just a normal standard university. So I'm sure they should be contributing even more in trying to solve some of the problems of industry, and they therefore hopefully have some of the children who pass out from here kind of stick on in and work for businesses out of this area, and in the process more businesses start coming here. So that was one. The second thing is that I think some of you may be aware, Punjab has set up an innovation mission, and as part of it also an innovation fund. The innovation mission is headed by Pramod Bhasin. I mean, all of you would be knowing about him, former Genpact and one of the big leaders in the world of business in the country, in some senses. So Punjab government has just contributed some seed capital, and we do have the Principal Secretary Industry and the Principal Secretary Agriculture as being ex officio members on the board of the Innovation Commission, Innovation Mission. They should be starting with some of their. It's going to be headquartered in this fancy building that you see when you on your way to Mohali Airport, the Kalkat Bhavan at the roundabout, which used to be that Kisan Chamber building earlier. So it will be set up out of there, and I think they should be starting. They should move in after some offices have been kind of done and renovated hopefully by November end or early December, and. There will be a string of activities also which the mission will be taking up very soon. So I think hopefully we'll have a little more buzz around this, because I do feel, and I think the people in that mission are very, very excited and buoyant about the fact that there's a lot of very bright talent in Punjab amongst even the youngsters and even among not so older people who need to kind of tap in, need to be supported, and there's a lot of excitement, and Mohali has the potential to be in a way the Bangalore of tomorrow and of North India in that sense. Similarly, there is a startup. Startups are being promoted by the state government. We are even giving them some, seed capital, some other support. I mean, all this needs to tie up. And I was talking to Thai people, from the other day, and I think there's a lot of exciting possibilities that we can grow, and some good work has happened in the past, and we can go very strongly forward on these things also. Let me also just share with a couple of points on the fact that, which was mentioned in passing also, that we have the air connectivity is also improving. You'll be happy to know that next month the cargo terminal in Mohali will be made operational, both perishable and non-perishable cargo. So I think that will open up a lot of exciting possibilities. Frankly, business is not so concerned only about flights, because one, of course, you can send belly cargo, but even, you have already flights flying out to the Gulf and some other places. But I think Mohali will have a lot of potential for cargo growth. And I was quite surprised when I was Secretary of Civil Aviation that somehow there was no talk of a cargo terminal. And I remember there was an investor proposal which Rajat and his friends had brought in, Vivo, the ones who make these phones. So there were Chinese guys who once came to meet the Chief Minister, and their only question was that, can we land a 747 out here, from Hong Kong, and what is your cargo setup? So when I inquired, they said, frankly, we have no cargo setup, and so that's from where this conversation really began. And I'm happy that, notwithstanding whatever time it takes in government, AI is also government like us, but we are happy that it's finally getting inaugurated. There was also a perishable cargo center which was started by the state government, I think in 2005-06 in Amritsar, but for the last 10 odd years it was lying closed, and there was a lot of jhagda between Punjab Agro and Airport Authority of India. So 2 years back we resolved those jhagdas. We said we'll do one-time settlement like industry is very well known to, and we just settled out our dues with each other, and we entrusted it back to them. And I'm happy to say that the perishable cargo center in Amritsar is also operational now. Thirdly, you are aware that there is a strong move to develop Halwara as a new airport, outside of Ludhiana. Halwara, incidentally, is located bang in the geographical center of Punjab. So that's a point which should not be missed. And not only the fact that it is proximate to Ludhiana. Ludhiana has their old Sanewal airport where you can land a small aircraft, and whenever there is fog, that flight gets cancelled because there are no advanced instrument, ILS or anything like that. So Halwara is already a Cat 2 facility, which is good enough for 95% days of the year, and barring one or few days of very dense fog. So it's ready to go, and already land was acquired. The boundary wall has been constructed, approach roads have been made, and the temporary terminal building estimates have also been cleared by AI. Since I was holding the civil aviation charge recently, so I thought I'll make this point. And we are hopeful that in about 6 to 8 months from now, the temporary building can be made operational and flights can start. I was in one of these, interactions with industry which I happened to attend. This was, I think, some years ago with WIPO. WIPO had organized something, and at that time, some people, I don't know whether they're present here or not, but they had a very interesting tale to narrate that our customers, clients, investors come to Ludhiana by train, and once they get out of Ludhiana airport, they just want to get back into the next Shatabdi and go back. And so really air connectivity needs to be made very robust and good. So I'm happy that with where you can even have long haul aircraft land, 777s can land there in Halwara, because it's got a 10,000 feet length of runway. So hopefully these things will be sorted out. I may also add that, and some of you would be aware that there's a huge network of improvement of national highways which is happening in Punjab. And I must give full credit to the former chairman, National Highway Authority of India, Dr. Sukhbir Sandhu, who's not from Punjab cadre, but he's a blue-blooded Punjabi, and he's served earlier on deputation here. And during his period of time, I think he's really cleared lots and lots of highways for Punjab, and that will really improve the connectivity in going forward. And I mean, highways really open up a lot of things, and it spurs economic growth. So you'll have not only this Delhi Amritsar Katra expressway which is planned, but even so there'll be a spur going from there to connecting Halwara, and then going down further to Bathinda, and many others. Even the one, there's a connection now from somewhere taking off from Ropar, going very close to to the Cycle Valley in Ludhiana, and to the industrial park in Kumkala, which Bhavdeep and Rajat mentioned earlier. So there'll be, all in all, there'll be a lot of good connectivity in the state, which will, I think we need to really locate some of our new land banks strategically in these areas, so that you can actually access the benefit of these highways. So before I close, let me only say that I think all of us we are all part of it together, and we would like Punjab to grow and Punjab industry to be the leader as part of the Punjab's great growth story. Well, along with the fact that there is also an element of social responsibility which also comes on industry in some senses, to my mind, and it's just the fact that you are better placed. You have greater access to wealth, so you have to really be also people who can shape the thought for the larger community as a whole. Because I mean, sometimes it's said that responsibility is the price of greatness. So in that sense, I feel we all need to be conscious and give Punjab's industry a trajectory for future also. There are more green initiatives. So sometimes when we talk green, there is also a higher cost involved in turning green. It's very easy to say from any state that red should turn green, but people in industry realize that there is a lot of money that is required to turn red into green. But going forward, we need to know that there will be it's important to make industry comply with all kind of sustainability norms, and Punjab should not get lost in the India's larger growth story, that we are an industry which is still something more of the 20th century perspective, and not really the looking forward. So we are and it's very nice to see people who are very progressive. And I remember meeting some of the people here, and I remember about the kangaroo story. He was telling me in one of our interactions in Invest Punjab 2 years ago, that how excellent products which are top world class, are being produced in Punjab, and I'm sure more and more will be done in the years to come. We are all here to welcome you, and let me say, coming back to from where we started, that was the investment summit. We would look forward to your suggestions, even as a body. Mr. Sardana, if you could share them with us. It's sometimes, of course, whatever you have said, or in the next a limited time that we have, we'll be happy to take note of all that. But should you like to say collectively, so there are times some of your members who may not be present here, we'll be very happy to place them before the government and to see that what all we can do, because the whole purpose of these summits is not just to really bring in more investment. It's really a chance to look and address some of those pain points that all of you have been facing all these years. And I mean, one of the things which we do hope is that Invest Punjab should really be the single touch point. Today, it is officially the single touch point, but unofficially there are, sometimes there are multiple touch points. But really, we need to make that you don't need to go anywhere. You just need to come to us. And thereafter, our people, all the bright people that Rajat and others have recruited in this while, they are, here to take your proposals forward and get you clearances in the required time. And this is it's work in progress. I personally feel very happy that I have Rajat as a colleague who is very, very well experienced, and has an excellent connect with all of you, and one can really ride on his experience and his expertise in this. but we are all here to support you, and we look forward to your presence and participation in the summit, both in which is the virtual one on day one, and in Ludhiana. Of course, there are COVID norms. There will be some, we hope COVID norms can ease more, so we can accommodate more people under a single roof. But whatever it is, we'll try and do our best and make sure that it's a well representative body that the Chief Minister has a chance to interact with that day. So thank you very much, and it's a pleasure, and we look forward. And should you ever have anything, please do feel free to bother all of us. We are all here to on behalf of the government, to make sure and make your life easier in any possible way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure with such positivity, I think Punjab has a brilliant future in terms of garnering investment. Now, in the interest of time, we have time for, I think, 3 or 4 questions.
Yes, sir. So here.
Okay, I will start with you.
Yeah.
I'll read out the next person as well. Gentleman on that table there, and then Mr. Rajiv Sajde, Ashpreet. You, sir, we'll try and accommodate you. Otherwise, you can ask the speaker the question over lunch. Sir, 2 मिनट जो पहला उन्होंने क्या सीगा?
Jai Hind, sir. Nice to hear you. And definitely, my heart is overwhelmed to listen the things and the conducive attitude both of you officers have got, and you got the things done. Sir, foremost I would start from that there is an issue of 50% unearned profit. Mr. Tejvi sir has already under notice of this thing for the Pinfotech plots. It was waived off in 1992 and transfer fees was implemented again in 1998. Along with the transfer fee, this has been 50% unearned profit has been levied apart from transfer fee. Both of the things are being taken care of till now. Those has to be waived off. It is very big issue, sir. And next, my point is that the residential plot residence has been allowed up to 50%, 15% in the industrial plots for the labor or the entrepreneur himself. It's just only, I think, 6 or 7 months back it has been announced by but for the Pinfotech plots, it has not been announced. Apart from this, it is the general thing that whensoever there's any policy change or any provision is given by the industry department, it has not been handshaken by the other departments. PSPCL is still giving the industrial connection. PSPCL is not allowing us to take the domestic connection for those areas where the residence has to be there. And so using the industrial electricity over there in the domestic premises, it creates a UUE case. And for UUE case, you better know, sir, how much fine is levied upon, sir. So it has to be taken care of.
Thank you.
Sir, next my issue is...
We have to give chance to others as well.
Yeah, sir.
Last one, please.
Okay. So the fixed charges for the industry, the minimum charges for the electricity for the industry has been converted to the fixed charges since 2019. Sir, it is a very big burden on industry at present, due to which the electricity cost has taken up to 8 rupees till now. So it has to be taken care of. I have got number of points personally, but I'm not allowed. So please, I will interact to you.
No, you're very much allowed, but we'll do it at lunch. You can do it informally at lunch.
So that will better.
This Infotech issue, I think the Mohali Industries people had come and raised this issue. So we'll take a look at it and whatever best we can solve it. These are slightly difficult issues sometimes to solve, but I assure you that we'll try and do that. And the other points we've taken note of, and we'll have a look. Please don't worry about it. And should you have any other issues, please do pass them on, and we can get them collectively.
We'll collate them as well. No problem.
Okay.
Sir, please.
Good afternoon. I am Rakesh Agarwal, representing Deravasi Industries Association as secretary, and we have this privilege that Deravasi has been a very fast-growing industrial cluster of Punjab. So first I take the specific problem of Deravasi. I take this opportunity since the senior officers are here. PSIEC have a industrial focal point in Deravasi, which has a designated plot of land for substation. PCP Punjab Power Corporation have already planned to set up a substation there, but unfortunately it is the land which has been allocated to the substation has not been transferred to the Punjab Power Corporation. So this is a mode only that give you the new demand is being created for the last 1.5 year during COVID time, and after COVID time I think it is going to increase. Already many of the areas in Derabasi have gone, you can say, in a domain of non-availability of power. There is an immediate need of 2 transformers. We have been writing to the department, to the Secretary Power, that please provide 2 transformers, at least the temporary power situation improves in Derabasi.
So this is that, and can you give me the specific place जिथे ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 2
हाँ जी, 2 ट्रांसफार्मर ने, 2 ही सबस्टेशन ने ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡੇਰਾਬੱਸੀ ਨੂੰ प्रेजेंटली फीड कर रहे हैं। एक सैदपुरा सबस्टेशन है जी, एक मुबारकपुर सबस्टेशन है, दोनों ओवरलोड ने जी। और 100 किलोवाट की एवरेज ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੱਲਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਹੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਖੜੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਜੇਕਰ PSIEC ਦੇ ਫੋਕਲ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਬਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਈਅਰ ਮਾਰਕਡ ਆ ਤੇ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ 2-3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਲਈ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਈਜ਼ ਆਊਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਅਪਰਚੂਨਿਟੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਡੇਰਾਬੱਸੀ ਦੀ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਿਲੇਟਡ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਲੇਟਲੀ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਪਲਾਨਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ, ਉਹ ਪਾਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਜੀ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਰ ਆਫ ਫੈਕਟਰੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ। ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਮਾਡਾ ਨੂੰ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਨੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ, ਗਮਾਡਾ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰੋ, ਦੇਅਰ ਹੈਜ਼ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਏ ਸਿੰਗਲ ਰੂਲ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਰੂਲਸ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਰੂਲਸ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਨੇ, ਗਮਾਡਾ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਰੂਲਸ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਨੇ। ਗਮਾਡੇ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਰੂਲਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਗਲੇਅਰਿੰਗ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਨਾ। ਗਮਾਡਾ ਦੇ ਰੂਲਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀਅਲ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 30% ਲੈਂਡ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਲੈਫਟ ਫॉर ਪਾਰਕਿੰਗ। ਡੇਰਾਬੱਸੀ ਵਿੱਚ 2 ਕਰੋੜ ਰੁਪਏ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਨੂੰ 30% ਲੈਂਡ ਦੀ ਪਾਰਕਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਇੱਕ ਗੱਡੀ ਆਈ, ਇੱਕ ਗੱਡੀ ਚਲੀ ਗਈ। ਸੋ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਪਰਟਸ for approving the building plans which have been doing their job for the last 70 years is Director of Factories. Our appeal and request would be that please give it back to Director of Factories, or the system should be such that where the rules for building rules for both with both the Gamada as well as for the Director of Factories should be same and should be brought into the public domain. This is very, very ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ। ਇੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਹੀ ਲਾਂਗਾ ਪਲੀਜ਼। ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਐਗਜ਼ਿਸਟਿੰਗ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਐਕਸਪੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਮਿਨੀਮਮ ਨਵੀਂ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਰੀ 50% ਆਫ देयर ਇਨੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਰੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ ਲੌਜਿਕ ਦਾ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰਦੇ, ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ। ਜੇ ਸਪੋਜ਼ ਕਰ ਕੋਈ 5 ਕਰੋੜ ਦੀ ਨਵਾਂ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰਦਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਨਸੈਂਟਿਵਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ। ਜੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਿਸਟਿੰਗ ਯੂਨਿਟ 5 ਕਰੋੜ ਦੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟਲੀ, ਨਾਓ ਆਈ ਸੇ ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟਲੀ, ਉਹਦੀ ਇਨੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ 10 ਕਰੋੜ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਹੀ ਇਜ਼ ਡਿਪਰਾਈਵਡ ਆਫ ਦੀ ਇਨਸੈਂਟਿਵਸ ਵਿਚ ਆਰ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਟੂ ਦੀ ਨਿਊ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਆ, ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਲੌਜਿਕ ਔਰ ਥਾਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਹੈਗਾ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ।
थैंक यू अग्रवाल साहब।
एक would you like to just
2 रिक्वेस्ट आपसे करता हूँ। एक तो ये ट्रांसफार्मर वाला आपका बड़ा रेलिवेंट इशू है। DSPCL को ट्रांसफार्मर लगाने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। आई इवन हैव टॉक टू द CMD साहब। प्रॉब्लम आती है कि ट्रांसफार्मर कहाँ लगेगा। नो बडी अलाउज कि ट्रांसफार्मर हमारे यूनिट के बाहर लग जाए। तो उसके लिए हमें डेराबस्सी एसोसिएशन से मदद चाहिएगी कि कहाँ पे ट्रांसफार्मर लगना है। वो लैंड कोई देना नहीं चाहता। उस चक्कर में कई बार डिले पे डिले होता जाता है।
मैं आपको क्लैरिफाई करता हूँ, सैदपुरा में भी स्पेस है और मुबारकपुर में भी स्पेस है, और पुड़ावाला में लैंड ऑलरेडी इन एडवांस स्टेज ऑफ नेगोशिएशन फॉर ट्रांसफर फ्रॉम पंचायत टू इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिपार्टमेंट ऑलरेडी है। पुड़ावाला को आप छोड़ दीजिए, जहाँ ऑलरेडी सब स्टेशन है वहाँ तो स्पेस ऑलरेडी है। ओनली थिंग इज that it has
आप
to
जो
be
स्पेस के डिटेल्स हैं, संजीव इज फ्रॉम PSPCL, मिस्टर संजीव गुप्ता इज देयर, आप शेयर कर लीजिए। कोई दिक्कत, ट्रांसफार्मर कोई इतनी बड़ी चीज नहीं है।
हाँ जी।
अगर स्पेस है तो इट विल बी डन इमीडिएटली। दूसरा जो पॉलिसी का आपका इशू था, तो लॉजिक उसका केवल इतना है कि पॉलिसी में कवर होता है नया एक्सपेंशन। अगर उसके ऊपर कोई लिमिट नहीं रखेंगे तो रूटीन के ONM और रूटीन के जो चेंजेस हैं, जिसमें ना तो एम्प्लॉयमेंट कोई बनता है, ना कोई चेंज आता है वर्चुअली इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी में, वो सारे कवर हो जाएंगे। तो कोई ना कोई बेंचमार्क देना पड़ता है कि रूटीन ONM के इंसेंटिव ना हो, एक्सपेंशन ट्रू सेंस में हो तो उसके इंसेंटिव, और पूरे कंट्री में यही।
और वो नक्शों का देख लेना जी।
जी
थैंक यू।
और एक आपका जो ये था ना जी, दिस अबाउट द PSIC सबस्टेशन का जो प्लॉट का इशू है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली दिस इज व्हाई इट गेट्स स्टक, इज बिकॉज बोथ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस PSPCL and PSIC are commercial organizations. They say that PSPCL should pay for the land. They are also right. PSPCL says नहीं जी नहीं ऐसी पे नहीं करांगे, इसे फ्री दियो तो कर दियो. So but anyway, these are issues not only in Deravasi, there are a couple of other places also. So we'll have to find a way to resolve these. We take a note.
This needs, I cannot comment either on behalf of electricity
I know, but this is the real
yes, something has to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir,
for
on the
allowing me
point
to
of, Mr. Agarwal raised a very valid point. HUD department approving building plans for industry. So it's a repeated request by industry. I think the mindset is that the HUD department looks at all cases from a builder mindset. So it's a commercial real estate project mindset. So I think, sir, it's a mindset issue. If certain officers get co-opted into Invest Punjab and approvals as was discussed on the 4th of October meeting, if every approval is given through Invest Punjab in a time-bound manner, I think the problem will get solved. So,
Yeah, so let me say that, Mr. Agarwal and I, we've already had meetings with both the Principal Secretary Housing as well as the Labour Secretary also on these issues, because this was one of the things which was pointed out by the CEO that, this is one of our major issues which is troubling industry. So we hope that before the summit we should have something with the approval of the government, a more simpler and a straightforward system wherein the basic thing is whoever approves, they need to sometimes get some inputs out of the other person. Of course, the factories will look at, they normally get an architect to just do a stamping and, there's some impaneled architects. And the other part is, they check some basic factory processes and give an approval. But Gamada, obviously, you're right, they look at it more from a residential or a builder kind of a perspective, which is not necessarily the case here. But we'll find a way to get this resolved quickly.
thank you, sir. Can I have Mr. Rajiv Sajde,
Yeah.
Chairman CI Amritsar?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'll just make it very brief and quick. Baldeep has already raised one of the vital points, which is of the approach road being increased from 3 karma, which is 16.5 feet, to 33 feet. Now, this has impacted the SME sector in a big way. And I speak not only on behalf of the border district of Amritsar, which is crucial, but also from Jalandhar. My colleague from Jalandhar is not here, but he has asked me to put this point forward, and I'm sure Ludhiana and Mohali would have the same issue.
Yeah.
Sir, these roads don't exist in Punjab, the 33 feet road. That means we are asking every SME to put up a factory on a main big road, which he can't afford to do. Link roads are no more than 3 to 4 karma, if they are on the revenue record. They are actually, even if they are 4 karma, they are shown as 2 karma on the revenue record because the revenue records have not been updated. And I personally have discussed this with the DC in Amritsar, and he agrees to this. The DTP agrees to this. The ATP Amritsar agrees to it. And the result is that various projects where people have bought land, have contracted for machinery, they don't know what to do now. Because suddenly you've decided that it's going to be 6 karma, they can't get the CLUs. What should they do? This is contrary to the spirit of Invest Punjab. I have personally brought 2 people from Delhi and Bombay, and they had earmarked the lands in Amritsar border district, and now they say, if this is what they are going to do, they say, okay. So my request is, this decision must be put on hold immediately, so that those people who have invested money, have made plans to invest, they should be able to continue. Get a survey done, see what our revenue records show, and then implement it. Please don't implement it in this manner. This is one of our biggest requests to you. And this has to be done quickly, otherwise we are going to lose a lot of these investments.
So, Sajdev Saab, this issue was raised that day before the Chief Minister, and I think there is some merit in what you say, because in Punjab the right of way in villages is relatively limited. If you compare Punjab with the southern states, you find that there's a bigger right of way left, because land is scarce and land is intensely cultivated, and it has been the case for the last many decades, as in when consolidations and other things happened. So there was never really a demand to make these rastas wider than this. And so that's why even we lose out sometimes on Government of India schemes which require us to have a right of way of 33 feet. So that is the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Punjab is not able to get a lot of money only because our right of way is limited, and if you start acquiring, it becomes prohibitively expensive. So, I think for this these are useful things when somebody is setting up a 5,000 crore unit, which has maybe 5,000 people or 10,000 people working there. Then it makes sense to have it on a larger road. But for small and medium industries, and medium is also actually smaller medium, you need to facilitate. You
have to be practical.
Be practical, and in rural areas. In fact, the Chief Minister that day had made this point that we should have a greater focus on rural industrialization. So one of the things, if you start doing this, then you actually are driving away rural industrialization to places where you have.
This is exactly what I was coming to you, sir. That we were trying to push the industry, which is primarily in Amritsar, the white industry, which is I'm talking the warp knitting industry, to the rural areas, because land in the city is very, very expensive. And these are high-tech machines coming from Germany and all, but they are small. They are 5 crore, 10 crore investments. And we were pushing them into these border areas because the conditions in Amritsar border area are not good, as we all know of what's happening. So this provides part-time employment to the farmers. So this is an ideal combination, but we can't do that if such a situation is coming in. So and the other thing that I want to do point to you is what we can do in the future. As you know, technical textiles has been promoted by the Government of India. There is a mission called Technical Textiles, and now there is a PLI, which is the Production Link Scheme again for the technical textiles. This is very, very important that Punjab adopts this and goes head on in this sector. If we don't, we will lose the textile that we have here. Gujarat, Telangana are way, way ahead of us. So is Maharashtra. I am in this business in the last 10 years and probably just one of the few in this sector in Punjab. And I can tell you it has huge, huge, huge potential, 10 to 12% growth every year. And the Amritsar sector would benefit hugely because warp knitting, we are experts in warp knitting, and warp knitting is the base for technical textile. Germany is an example of this. And the industry in Amritsar is suffering, and if the government can take this up, it will be a big, big, big thing. And sir, my one more request, please include the industrial area of Amritsar in the improvement list. You did not mention Amritsar. 8 months in a year, it is underwater.
I know.
Please, sir.
No, thank you. No, that was just to say that.
No, I'm just because I've been asked by the people from Amritsar to point this out. It's a major, major issue there.
Sure.
Thank you so much, sir.
Can we have last question from Ashpreet?
Thank you, sir. We are really honored what you said today, and we really feel with the new team in the government as well as in the administration, we are in the safe hands. So, sir, I would give you the feedback from the ground level on the Invest Punjab. So, I have a couple of suggestions from my members in Ludhiana representing CIL Ludhiana Zonal. So, first of all, the Right to Do Business Act 2020. Thank you, sir. It's really a great help. But unfortunately, it's not helping the way it should help. Two reasons, sir. The banks are not accepting the certificate and they still demand CLU to take the land as a collateral. So we need to empanel banks on this policy. So they should accept the certificate for the collateral. Second thing, sir, as we all know that MSME definition has been changed. And the district authorities has earlier had approval of 10 CR to approve the investment projects. So in the new MSME definition, the MSME has changed to 50 CR. So we would request, because all the proposals on the district level are comparatively more faster than the state level. So if it can be increased to 50 CR, it can be a great help to the MSM industry in the region. So specifically, I'll not raise the issue of sex karma as Rajiv ji and sir has already raised, and it's a big issue because many projects are in jeopardy in Ludhiana at time. Sir, there's one issue. You raised a very good point. We've not known about the Punjab Anti-Red Tape Act, that is 2021. It is going to be a great help because we have a number of complaints for our members that from the Department of Deputy Directors and Labor Inspectors, they visit industries without any initial notification. So it is a big issue in Ludhiana, sir. So another issue we have, because I belong to Ludhiana, and I'll specifically mention the invest policy constraints in Ludhiana. As Ashish ji rightly mentioned, his company is taking good advantage. But Ludhiana, we have two sectors. One is bicycle industry and garment. It falls into inverted duty structures. So they don't get any advantage of GST in the Invest Punjab policy. So, sir, we all know that we have a Punjab export report by the DGFT, and it covers a complete horizon of Punjab about the strengths and of each region. So just to point out, we are missing on the few third sectors also, because auto parts, agriculture implements are few of the sectors which are not mentioned. Just to brief why agriculture implements, why? Because there's a scope of 800,000 million US dollars market of agriculture implement, only exports I'm talking, and India has a share of only 1.5%, and we stand at 16th position. And when we talk about any implements or goods related to iron industry, China is always top, but here China is nowhere. Germany is the company with 20% of share, and the level of competitiveness we have in India, we can definitely grow at a much faster speed if the agriculture implements are brought into this third sector. Just last point, sir, there's an enhancement issue of focal point phase 8 going for a very, very long time. We have Amit Kumarji as MD PSIC joined today. We request to please bring one-time settlement scheme so this can be closed, because it's almost 4 years now this issue is being hanged in. So the last and the most important point, I'll just emphasize on the exhibition grounds. Sir, you mentioned very well the air connectivity and roads network in Punjab are going to improve, but the only way the industry is going to get more technology and fetch more investments from outside India is the exhibition grounds, because these will play the vital role in upliftment of the industry in the Punjab state. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, in the interest of time, I know there are more questions. Even our guests will be with us at lunch. You can ask them casually. Can I request Mr. Amit Thapar, Vice Chair, CII Punjab, to give his concluding remarks?
Thank you, Bhavdeep. I think if we continued, we could have continued for even 1 hour, 2 hours. So I'm sure those are the kind of questions which the audience here have. So heartfelt thanks to Mr. Tejveer Singh, Principal Secretary, Commerce and Investment Promotion, Government of Punjab. Sir, your remarks have provided us with new perspective of looking at things, and we certainly look forward to have much more interactions apart from this one today. Rajiji, as usual, your presentation was very, very impactful. As Ashpreet rightly mentioned, the Anti-Red Tape Act is something very, very interesting. Sir, I would like to mention here, I remember, such is the proactiveness of Punjab government. You mentioned PWRDA. I remember Bhavdeep was leading our delegation. CGWA ਦੀ ਤਲਵਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਲਟਕੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਨਵੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਵੀ ਵੈਂਟ ਟੂ ਚੀਫ ਸੈਕਟਰੀ ਸਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਉਸ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਗੇ. ਇਮੀਡੀਏਟਲੀ ਦਾ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸ ਟੇਕਨ ਕਿ 2 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ PWRDA ਬੋਡੀ ਬਣਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਐਂਡ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਬਿਕੇਮ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਬਲੀ ਦ 3rd or the 4th state in the country, ਹੈਨੀ ਕਿੰਨਾ 9th state in the country to do it and have it done and dusted. So thank you, sir, for such proactive governance. We will fully complement and support the initiative to organize 4th edition of Progressive Punjab Summit
being held from 26th to 27th October. So CII is always, at your service, at industry service to partner in such kind of events. I'm sure that this Progressive Punjab, this year's event would also bring opportunities and vistas for the industry and the state of Punjab. So last point, sir, you mentioned societal initiatives. We at CII, so this is a part and parcel of our, zone and culture. We have Chima Saab, Ashpreet, Sajdeji, and Tushar is of course missing. Societal initiatives from the industry and the CSR is an integral part what CII has been doing on district level and at the state level. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Bhavdeep Sardana, Mr. Amrish Jain and Mr. Ashish Garg, my friends from media who have all present here, and my special thanks to all the industry members, colleagues and guests who have attended. I would now like this opportunity to adjourn this session and invite you for lunch. Thank you.